Do you want advice on 9v9 football? Stick around for our guide to 9v9 formations and how to coach them to your players. Hi everyone, Catalan Ben here, and we're back with some 9-a-side formations and tips on how to set up your team and coach these shapes to your players. Formation number 1 is a 3-3-2 formation. This is a very solid formation that gives you a strong back three that helps you force attackers into wide areas. So let's have a look at the strengths and the weaknesses of this shape. This system has a strong attacking force. It has 5 attacking players who can all get forward and help each other out. It has 2 central players who are strikers who can combine either with each other or with their wingers. And because of the amount of cover behind the midfielders, the centre mid can get forward without too much worry about recovery runs. The wide players offer a great stretch to the play, and the central players can combine with each other to make sure you keep the attacking threat close to goal. Your midfield player needs to have a high work rate and a high athletic output. This kind of player needs to link the defence to the attack with forwards and sideways passes either out to the wingers or up to the strikers. Your strikers need to lead the press out of possession, so high energy and teamwork is crucial for these 2 players. Your defending players need to be disciplined. Ensure that those players are playing narrow and understand they are not playing with fullbacks. If you are playing with a back 3, you are playing with essentially 3 centre-backs. So you do not want your defensive players going wide and stretching the play. They have to contain the middle of the pitch. Formation number 2 is the 4-3-1. This is a particular favourite of mine. I used this formation for a couple of years, rotating players through all positions to great effect. This shape gives you a back 4, it gives you a midfield 3 that can attack with freedom, and most importantly, it gives you proper fullbacks. They can quickly turn defence into attack if you put the right players in that area. The defensive area is key to this formation working. The attacking fullbacks can become wide midfielders or even wingers when you have the ball, and when you lose the ball they are crucial to get back in line with their 2 centre-backs and become that back 4 again. So make sure you select players that have got a high work rate. Playing out from the back with this shape is a thing of beauty. Your centre-backs split towards the corners of the area. The fullbacks push high and wide up the pitch to really give you an advanced midfield role, and the CDM will drop in to become like a 3rd centre-back. He not only gives you a passing option so you can turn and play forward, but if you do choose to select to play out to a wide area, he provides cover in the middle so you don't get overrun if you lose the ball quickly. The midfield unit is split into 2 sections. Unit number 1 is the CDM, and unit number 2 is the CAMs. The CAMs are central attacking midfielders. They are central because they let the fullbacks do the job in the wide areas and they stay through the middle of the pitch nice and narrow. Attacking because they are invited to get up with the striker and support the striker as much as possible, linking and sometimes even go beyond him. And midfielders because they do still have a responsibility to defend and don't become a 2nd or 3rd striker when you lose the ball. So make sure they understand they are central attacking midfielders. The CDM is crucial to protecting your back 2. Because you are not playing with 3 centre-backs and you are playing with 2 advanced full-backs, don't leave yourself exposed. Make sure your CDM understands that they are a defensive midfielder. That defensive midfielder usually operates behind the ball even in possession. This shape is the ultimate possession system in 9-a-side football. It's the building block for clubs like FC Barcelona, Bayern Munich, Manchester City, and by playing this you will be able to keep the ball very well because of the different triangles that it offers all over the pitch. This shape will help you keep possession and keep the ball for prolonged periods. However, you can quickly turn possession into penetration using those attacking fullbacks. The striker must stay involved in the game. It's easy in this system for a striker to become isolated because he is playing up there on his own. So you have to make sure that in phases of possession, the striker either operates deep and comes in to get the ball and get turned, or is offering runs into channels and runs in behind and trying to still link up with those attacking midfielders and wingers as often as possible. Make sure your midfield players are feeding the striker as often as possible, and those attacking fullbacks are asked to deliver crosses to get the striker on the ball. Select the right player for the striker role. Usually strong and tall players suit this role very well because they can hold the ball up. However, small and tricky players can make this role work as long as they understand to drop in towards the ball and drop away from centre-backs to get the ball and get turned. The secret reason that I love this formation so much is because of the transition from 9-a-side to 11-a-side football. In the next season or 2, you're probably going to be playing 11-a-side matches, and all you have to do at that point is drop in 2 more attacking players, and that gives you a very powerful 4-3-3 system that Liverpool use and Man City use at the moment. Formation number 3 is the 3-2-3 formation. This formation is a classic in nine-a-side football. It offers you a really strong midfield with two central midfield players, a solid back three that plays nice and narrow, but it still gives you a big attacking threat with that front three as well. Let's have a look at the strengths and the weaknesses of this formation. The back three takes care of itself as long as your defenders understand to stay narrow. Playing out from the back is very simple, playing out to the defenders, who can ultimately play to a midfielder to turn or into a wide area to a winger. Your centre forward in this shape won't become isolated because they have two wingers to combine with at all times. The hardest role in this formation to play is your midfielders. Your midfielders will want to push forward, sometimes both at the same time. That can offer you a real risk. So as a coach, it's important that you try and control this. Sometimes take it in turns, or sometimes just say for the first half of the game that one of your central midfielders will push forward and join the attack, and the other will provide cover like a CDM. In the second half, then change it round to make sure both kids get a turn at it. Be very wary that both don't do it at the same time too often. If you do this, you will find yourself exposed, and the counter-attacks will really catch you out. The biggest weakness for this shape is personnel being put in the wrong roles. Midfielders who are too keen to get forward and can't be defensively disciplined, defenders who don't understand the importance of being narrow and get stretched too far wide, and attacking players that sometimes don't link up, are maybe a little bit too selfish and are not understanding their combination play. So whilst this can be a very solid formation and be actually quite an effective formation if everybody understands their roles, if you've got players who don't understand the mindset for their role, this can actually be a very weak formation when you lose the ball. So make sure your players understand their mindset. Formation number 4 is the 3-3-2 sweeper formation. Now I know what some people are thinking. A sweeper hasn't been used in modern football for quite a while. Since the introduction of sweeper keepers who play a high line and sweep up behind their centre-backs, it's very rare these days to see a sweeper playing in a modern football formation. Let me tell you why this is a great tactic. Now if you're coaching kids, your keeper can be very apprehensive to sweep up and take that high line. I've lost count of the number of times I've turned to look where my keeper is while my team have the ball in the opponent's half and he's stood on his goal line. Now, whilst it is an important job for a keeper to try and play as a sweeper, some kids are just not cut out for it, whether it's their ability with their feet or their mindset towards playing high up the pitch. It can be really difficult for them. By introducing a sweeper to your defensive shape, your keeper doesn't need to do that. A sweeper plays behind your centre-backs, offers real cover on the counter-attack and makes sure that if your centre-backs make a mistake, it's not at the cost of a goal. A sweeper's job is to try and dispossess the strikers, but even if they don't, they should slow the attacking players down and give your recovering players a chance to get back behind the ball. Some of you might be thinking, what about offsides? If you're playing with a sweeper, you're never going to be able to play anybody offside. 9v9 football introduces kids to offsides, but let's be realistic here. Refs are going to get decisions wrong and completely miss them. The ref doesn't have any assistance, and we definitely don't have VAR in grassroots. By playing a high defensive line and trying to play an offside trap, your players will probably spend more time running back towards their own goal than they will running to the opponent's goal. You might not play the sweeper every game, you might not play the sweeper every minute of every game, but it's a great variation on the 3-2-3 or on the 3-3-2 that just allows you to be a little bit more defensive minded if you're winning a game, if you can't concede, and if you're really struggling to stop an opponent getting in behind you. If the opponent have got fast attackers and you keep seeing your kids running back towards their own goal because of that high line, adopt the sweeper formation and this can really help you to stop leaking goals at the other end. The great thing about a sweeper is that it can be very easily adapted from any three at the back system. So if you're playing with a back three, then the two widest players just start to squeeze in slightly just to cover the gap in the middle, and the sweeper then just drops from the centre just 5 or 10 yards behind the line. What that then does is make sure that you are never really pulled out of shape and all the kids are already doing the job. They are only slightly changing their role to adopt the sweeper system. You don't have to learn anything from scratch, and it's not that difficult to implement as long as the sweeper understands to just take that defensive line a little bit further back behind his partners. I've set up a sweeper system a few times when I've been in a 3 or a 4 at the back system and then all of a sudden realised that the opposing team have really fast attacking players and my centre backs just can't keep up with the counter attacks. The ref keeps missing offsides, things like that. I put a sweeper system in and then very quickly it stops those counter attacks being quite as deadly. So there you have some of our best 9-a-side shapes and formations. Get your kids around the tactics board and try and arrange some friendly games for the kids to learn these shapes. If they're trying to do it in competitive matches, it can be very difficult because of the added stress of competitive football. So arrange a couple of friendly games against a local team, and I would recommend trying to set up the kids in a 4 quarters game, not a 2 halves game. Those 4 quarters then mean that you can get around the tactics board more often and help the kids learn their new shapes. Regular intervals are a much better idea when you're trying to start a new system. Thanks for watching. We really appreciate your support and we hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.